You grow up in McAllen, Texas, border town. Your father works construction. Your mother cleans hotels. They came from Mexico with nothing and built a life so you wouldn't have to. You're the first in your family to go to college. Then law school. They cry at graduation. You're going to be somebody. Your first job is at a small firm handling immigration cases. Asylum claims. Families ripped apart by laws you didn't write. You win some, lose most. The ones you lose keep you up at night. The ones you win keep you going. Then a man named Carlos walks into your office. Clean shirt, expensive watch, soft hands. He says he needs a lawyer for a business matter. His cousin was picked up with a truck full of merchandise. Customs has him. He needs someone who speaks Spanish and English and knows how to navigate federal court. You take the case. You win. Carlos is grateful. He pays in cash. More than your monthly salary. He says he has friends who need lawyers too. You ask what kind of friends. He smiles. The kind with money. You're 29 when you represent your first cartel member. You don't know it at the time. You know it's a drug charge. You know the defendant has a good lawyer already, but wants someone local, someone who understands a border. You take the case. You win on a technicality. Evidence mishandled. Chain of custody broken. The defendant walks. 3 days later, a man visits your office. Older, gray suit, no smile. He says his name is Javier. He says a man you saved is his nephew. He says he's grateful. He leaves an envelope. Inside, $20,000. And a phone number. You call the number. You don't know why. You call it. Javier invites you to dinner. Nice restaurant. Private room. He asks about your family. Your parents. Your sisters. He knows their names already. He says it's not a threat. He likes to know who he's doing business with. He says he has a lot of business. He needs someone who understands American courts. Someone smart. Someone who can keep secrets. He offers you a retainer. $50,000 a year just to be available. Cases billed separately. You ask what kind of cases. He says whatever comes up. You ask if it's legal. He laughs. Says you're the lawyer. You tell him. You take the retainer. First year, it's easy. You review contracts. Legitimate businesses. Car dealerships, restaurants, a small hotel chain. You handle an immigration issue for Javier's cousin. You file a civil suit against a competitor who stole from a trucking company. Everything has paperwork. Everything looks normal. You tell yourself it's just business. You're not breaking laws. You're just representing clients who might. That's what lawyers do. Second year, Javier calls about his nephew again. Same one, different charge. This time it's federal. Conspiracy to distribute. The evidence is stronger. You fight it for 18 months. Motions, hearings, appeals. You lose. He gets 12 years. Javier doesn't blame you. He says you did everything possible. He doubles your retainer. You start getting calls from other names. Men you've never met. They say Javier gave them your number. They have problems. You solve them. One has a money laundering investigation. You get it dropped. One has a witness who might testify. You advise on how to manage the situation. You don't ask what that means. You bill accordingly. Your parents ask about the money. New house. New car. New suits. You tell them you made partner. They believe you. They're proud. The first time you meet a client in person who scares you, it's at a ranch outside Reynosa. 2 hours of dirt roads. Armed men at every gate. Inside, a man named Elidio. 40 years old. Soft voice. Eyes that don't blink. He's accused of ordering a murder. The victim was a journalist. The evidence is circumstantial, but ugly. You spend 3 days reviewing files. You find a weakness. A witness with a felony record. Shaky credibility. You build the defense around him. The case collapses. The witness recants. Elidio walks. He thanks you in person. Same ranch. Same soft voice. He asks what you want. More money? A house? A car? You say your retainer is enough. He nods. Says most people would ask for more. He respects that. He gives you a watch. Patek Philippe. $60,000. You can't refuse. Refusing insults him. You wear it once. Then you put it in a drawer. The questions start in year 4. A client asks if you know someone who can handle a problem. You know what he means. You say no. He says Javier said you might know people. You say Javier was wrong. He drops it. You call Javier. You ask if he's sending you those kinds of requests. He says no. He says someone must have misunderstood. He says if anyone asks again, tell them to call him directly. You do. They don't ask again. But you start noticing things. Paperwork that doesn't match. Companies that exist only on paper. Transfers to accounts you're told not to question. You stop asking. That's the moment you realize you've crossed something. Not a line. A line implies you can see it. This is more like waking up a room and realizing you don't remember how you got there. Year 5, a client gets indicted. Big case. Major cartel figure. The government offers immunity to his lawyers. Talk or go down with him. You're not his lawyer. You're just on retainer. But they know your name. They've seen payments. They bring you in for questioning. 2 agents. Windowless room. They lay out bank records, phone records, photographs. You at restaurants. You at a ranch. You shaking hands with men. They've been hunting for years. They ask if you want to cooperate. You say you want a lawyer. They laugh. You are a lawyer. You call Javier. He says don't worry. He says it's handled. 3 days later, the agents are reassigned. The investigation shifts focus. You're never called again. You don't ask how. Year 7, you're at a wedding. Your cousin's daughter. Family everywhere. Your mother dances with your father. Your sisters tease you about still being single. For a few hours, you're just a person. Just a nephew. Just a son. Then your phone buzzes. A name you don't recognize. A location. A time. You excuse yourself. You drive 2 hours to a warehouse. Inside, a man is handcuffed to a chair. He's been beaten. The men standing over him are calm. They say he's an informant. They say he's going to testify. They say they need to know what he told the DEA. They ask you to talk to him. Not to hurt him. Just to talk. Lawyer to client. Find out what he said. They'll wait outside. You say no. You're not that kind of lawyer. One of them, a kid really maybe 25, looks at you like you're stupid. He says Javier said you'd help. He says Javier said you understand how things work. You go inside. The man in the chair is crying. He's young. 22. Maybe younger. He says he didn't want to inform. They caught him with product. It was that or prison. He has a girlfriend. A baby due in 3 months. You ask what he told them. He tells you. Names, dates, locations. Everything. You write it down. You go outside. You hand the paper to the kid. You walk to your car. You drive home. You shower for an hour. You don't sleep. Next week, the young man's name is in the news. Found dead. The article says cartel violence. You know different. You were the one who wrote his confession. Your handwriting sent him home in pieces. You stop going to family events. Your mother asks why. You say work. She accepts it. She always accepts it. Year 9, Javier retires. His son takes over. Younger. American educated. Speaks without an accent. He calls you to a meeting in a high-rise in Monterey. Glass walls. Art on the walls. He looks like a CEO. He acts like one too. He says the business is changing. Less violence. More integration. Legitimate fronts. He needs lawyers who understand corporate law, international finance, compliance. He's offering you a position. General counsel. 7 figures. Benefits. A staff. You ask what happened to Javier. He says Javier's enjoying his grandchildren. He says that could be you someday. If you play it smart, you take the job. Now, you're not just fixing cases. You're building structures. Shell companies in Panama. Real estate trusts in Texas. Investment funds in Europe. Everything legal on paper. Everything funded by product you never see. You're good at it. You're very good. You have an office now. Assistants. A driver. An apartment in Mexico City. And another in Houston. You date a woman who doesn't ask what you do. She likes the restaurants you take her to. She likes the gifts. She doesn't ask. Your mother calls less often. Your sister stopped inviting you to things years ago. They don't say why. They don't have to. Year 12. The son calls you to a meeting. Private. Just the 2 of you. He says there's a problem. Someone inside is talking to the Americans. He doesn't know who. He needs you to find out. You say you're a lawyer, not an investigator. He says you're whatever he needs you to be. You spend 3 months quietly reviewing communications, tracking meetings, analyzing who knew what when. You find a leak. A mid-level accountant. 34. Married. 2 kids. He's been feeding information to the DEA for 18 months. You bring the evidence to the son. He reads it, nods, thanks you. You ask what happens to the accountant. He says don't worry about it. You don't ask again. The accountant disappears. His wife goes on TV begging for information. You watch it in your apartment. You turn it off. You pour a drink. You don't sleep. Year 15, the son is killed. Ambush on a highway. His security team is wiped out with him. The organization fractures. 3 factions fighting for control. You get calls from all of them. Each wants you on their side. Each offers more money than the last. You pick the one who seems most stable. A man named Federico, 55, former military, runs his operation like a business. No unnecessary violence. No publicity. He says he wants to keep the legitimate side growing. He needs you for that. You work for Federico for 3 years. It's almost boring. Board meetings. Contract negotiations. Compliance reviews. You forget, sometimes, where the money comes from. You forget the accountant. You forget the young man in the warehouse. You forget. Then Federico calls you to his house. Late. Private. He says there's a problem. His nephew, his sister's son, made a mistake. Killed someone who shouldn't have been killed. An American. A tourist. The wrong tourist. The FBI is involved now. They're putting pressure on the Mexican government. Someone has to answer. He looks at you. You say you're a lawyer. You don't do that. He says, you know everyone. You know where bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. You know how the organization works. You could tell them things. Not everything. Just enough. A few names. A few locations. Trade that for your life. You ask what he's saying. He says he's saying you need to disappear. Tonight, he has a plane. He has documents. You go to a country without extradition. You live out your life somewhere warm. Or you stay here, and eventually someone will decide you know too much. You ask how long you have to decide. He says you're already out of time. The plane leaves in 2 hours. You pack 1 bag. You don't say goodbye to anyone. You fly to a country you can't pronounce. You live in a house you didn't choose. You have money, enough. You have a new name. You have nothing else. 6 months later, you see a news article. Federico's nephew was arrested. Tried. Convicted. He got 40 years. His lawyer was good. You recognize the name. Someone you trained years ago. Someone who learned from you. You wonder if he knows where his teacher is. You wonder if anyone does. Your mother died last year. You found out 3 months after the funeral. Your sister sent a letter to a P.O. box you'd forgotten you had. She said Mom asked about you at the end. Wanted to see you. Wondered why you stopped coming around. You write back. You don't tell her where you are. You say you're sorry. You say you love her. You say it's better if she doesn't know. You don't hear back. Today you're 61. You live in a country where nobody knows your name. You walk to a market every morning and buy bread. You sit at a cafe and watch people who have nothing to hide. You go home. You read. You sleep. You do it again. Sometimes you take out the watch. The Patek Philippe from Ilidio. You never wore it. You kept it. You don't know why. You hold it. You feel the weight. You put it back in the drawer. You were supposed to be somebody. That's what your mother said at graduation. You were going to be somebody. You're somebody. You're the man who wrote a confession that killed a 22-year-old father. You're the man who built companies on blood money. You're the man whose mother died wondering where he went. You're a lawyer. You spent your life arguing that the law is just. You know better now. The law is a tool. It can build cages or open doors. You use it to build walls between yourself and what you knew. It worked for a while. Now the walls are gone. It's just you and the quiet and a watch you'll never wear. Somewhere in Texas, a young lawyer just took his first cash payment. He thinks it's a one-time thing. He thinks he's in control. He doesn't know that control is the first thing you lose. He'll learn. You hope he learns faster than you did. You finish your coffee. You walk home. You pass a newsstand. The headline mentions cartel violence. You don't read it. You don't need to. You wrote that story already. You were just too close to see the ink.